Hello everyone, this is Anna Carter from Rose River Way Studio, and I'm here for this week's 5-minute watercolor tutorial. I do one of these every week, and this week we are going to do a tree. Alright, so get out your paints and your brushes and your water. So to start off with this tree, it'll be kind of an abstract one. I'm going to start with the trunk of the tree, and so I'm going to get some brown on my brush that I already have pre-mixed. I'm using number 7 brush right now. I like to start with the larger brushes and then work smaller. Okay, so I'm going to loosely define a kind of crazy tree trunk here. Kind of going for that African crazy sort of tree vibe, if you know what I'm saying. And I don't have a lot of paint on my brush. This is kind of the root system down here. Always start with a lighter amount of paint. Okay, now I'm going to pull out some branches, and all of these branches aren't really necessarily going to connect to each other because I'm going to fill in the leaves later. So as I get farther out, my branches are getting thinner. So I'm putting very little pressure on my brush. Okay, so now I'm happy with my branches. I'm cleaning my brush off. And because this is kind of an abstract tree, let's do something other than green. I'm thinking blue, actually. Let's try. I've kind of got a green-blue made up here. Let's try that. Okay, so again, with not a lot of pigment on my brush, it's mostly water, I'm just going to lightly, and kind of with some different strokes here, I'm just doing little taps. This will give me a very wispy sort of feel. I'm not worrying too much. There's no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing. Just going with the flow. This is why I love loose watercolor. It's fast and free, and it just looks relaxing. Okay. This is turning out nice. I like this. Okay, great. So now I've got some leaf structure to my tree. And because I have just a few minutes here, I'm going to clean off my brush and add just a little bit of detail into the trunk of my tree. So to do that, I'm going to grab some black and a little bit of the same brown I was using before so that I get a darker brown, and I want a heavier amount of paint on there. So really lightly, just with the tip of my brush, I'm going to paint in just kind of the suggestion of a wood grain here. This gives me the idea of some depth by changing up the texture. It's kind of like a shadow in here. I'm not adding it everywhere, just in a few places. And maybe I'll even pull off some of that paint. And mostly with water, I can go through and soften some of those lines I made to make it more like a shadow and less precise. Okay, and now just to add slightly more flair, I'm going to go back to that green I had before. And with more pigment in my brush this time, I'm going to do another slight layer over top of the leaves I've already done. And again, it's the same color, but it's a slightly heavier value of color. So you always work light to dark. So now I've got a darker value, and again, this creates depth. So all the leaves that are a lighter color, they look like they're farther behind, and the darker ones look closer. Okay, that's it. There's your 5-minute watercolor tutorial of a loose tree, and I hope you enjoyed this. And please subscribe if you'd like to see next week's tutorial. Thanks a lot. Bye.